Marathon. Geordie Katie Cutler raised a remarkable £330,000 to help a disabled pensioner she'd never even met.
I didn't anticipate anything like that to happen. It just shot up. It was amazing.
From one inspirational story to another, we hear the extraordinary account of one man's triumph over adversity.
Hi, I'm Nick Vujicic, and later you'll be hearing about my story, how I transformed my life from a life without limbs into a life without limits.
And I'll be catching up with Nashville-based singer-songwriter Jen Bostic, and there'll be a special performance from her too.
Just like the people on today's programme, our hymns are set to inspire you. And we begin with a classic from Charles Wesley from just up the road from here in Gosforth. Back in January, Katie Cutler and disabled pensioner Alan Barnes were completely unknown to one another. Now they've struck up an unlikely friendship. Katie found out about Alan when she read his story in the local newspaper. He had been mugged and injured outside his own home. It was a shocking case.
What happened was, after he had asked us for the money, and I told him I hadn't any, and I shouted help, I just sort of got up from being on the sitting position, and I found out it was a fracture.
How did you find out about Alan's story, Katie?
I read Alan's story online, and when I did, I was really upset that he'd been mugged and he was too scared to return home. So I do have a beauty business with quite a large clientele, so I thought I could easily raise around about £500.
Katie set up an online giving site, which quickly escalated.
It went up to £330,000.
That's an enormous amount of money.
And all the money coming out, you could look at it from another aspect. It's like the pouring out of the Holy Spirit.
Every donation that we got, I would get an email, and the people would say, like, donations from Australia, America, Yemen, Russia, literally all over, China, Hong Kong, Japan, literally all over the world.
And the very first time you met each other was in front of all the cameras and reporters. I imagine that was quite strange.
Well, when we first met, it was Alan's sister. Hello, nice to meet you.
She gave us a hug.
Are you all right?
How pleased are you Katie came into your life?
Yes, I'm pleased. She's just a kind person.
Good.
It was emotional.
Yeah, it was.
I just knew I wasn't going back to that house. I don't know why, whether it was God saying you have to move on to something else.
Look at that light. Yeah. That's really nice.
And move on he has. With the money, he's been able to buy a terraced house just round the corner from where he used to live. And he welcomed in the local news reporter to proudly show off his new home.
Electric fire, cupboard bed. It was a bit like a dream, really. It was just something I thought happened for people who were famous or, you know, important, like the royal family. All I had was a fractured dead bone, and I thought, well, that'll heal eventually.
Alan's now been introduced to all Katie's family, including her daughter Grace and her mum.
Katie's always wanted to help people from a very young age. I think faith has a lot to do with it. Katie wants to try and save everybody, but we know that you know, she can't do that. But she'll try her best to help as many people as she can.
I'm constantly being asked for help of people for all different reasons. Someone wants to take their child that's dying on holiday, and I find that really hard. Sorry, I'm going to get upset.
That's okay.
So I find that hard. Yeah. Because obviously you can't help everyone.
But Katie continues to raise money for those she can help.
Katie to me is, I'm going to describe as an angel of the north.
And what Katie did next is even more remarkable, as we'll find out later. Now, as our next hymn tells us, when it comes to hearts of gold, Jesus is a pretty good role model. Nick Vujicic is an internet sensation whose antics have gone viral as he refuses to let severe disability stand in his way.
They call it phocomelia, which means a baby being born without limbs with no medical reason. It was quite a tragedy and a shock to my parents. My doctors told them that I would not walk, that I would not go to school. And my mum and dad, being very strong believers in Jesus, saw me as obviously their little boy, but still a gift of God, just differently packaged. It was about the age of 5 or 6 that I first knew that I was different, and I started entering into a depression at age 8. I felt very sad. I felt very alone. I prayed to God. I prayed that he would give me arms and legs, and he didn't respond. And in his lack of response, in the way that I thought he should have responded, I started believing he didn't love me. I started believing that he didn't exist. And maybe I was just born into misery.
Nick got so depressed that he considered committing suicide at the age of 10.
I tried to drown myself in a bathtub, and there was only one thing that was the pain that I would leave in my parents' hearts and minds with them burying their limbless boy. But then my confidence started growing. My maturity started expanding. In understanding I have a choice, either to be angry for what I do not have or be thankful for what I do have. But what really struck me the most was when I was 15 years old, when my life changed forever. I read John chapter 9, a man was born blind, and no one knew why he was born that way. And I'm like, oh, I can relate to that. And Jesus said it was done so that the works of God would be revealed through him. And I thought, wow, if Jesus had a plan for a blind man, then he has a plan for me.
Thanks to Nick's faith and positive attitude, it seems like nothing can hold him back.